was supposed to be just another day inside the Montecito mansion, but what one former staff member witnessed left them absolutely stunned. Meghan Markle, in a rare moment of unguarded candor, sat down and began talking about her daughter Lilibet in a way that nobody had ever heard before. And what she revealed sent shockwaves through everyone within earshot. According to this insider, Meghan started discussing the challenges of motherhood, the usual rehearsed talking points she trots out whenever cameras are rolling. But then something shifted. Her tone changed. She leaned in and dropped a bombshell that left staff members exchanging glances of pure disbelief. Meghan claimed that her daughter Lilibet possesses mannerisms so strikingly similar to Princess Diana that they are going to shock the entire world. Now let that sink in for a moment. A 4-year-old child allegedly carrying the essence of one of the most beloved women in modern history. But Meghan was not finished there. She went on to describe Lilibet's eyes, claiming her daughter has the most startling blue eyes in the vein of Harry's late mother. The way she spoke about it, according to this source, was almost trance-like. Meghan reportedly glazed over, lost in thought, as if she was already picturing the global reaction when the world finally gets to see what she has been hiding. And that right there is the key phrase, what she has been hiding. Because despite years of public appearances, interviews, and carefully curated content, almost nobody has truly seen these children. Staff members who worked inside the Archewell empire have confirmed something extraordinary. They were never allowed to see Archie or Lilibet fully faced. Think about that for a moment. People employed by the Sussexes, working in their home, handling their affairs, and yet the children remain shrouded in mystery even to them. So why all the secrecy? Why hide 2 children so completely from even your own trusted employees? The answer, according to those who have witnessed Meghan's behavior firsthand, is both calculated and chilling. Insiders claim that Meghan and Harry genuinely believe their children are the ace in their hole, the ultimate trump card they have been saving for when they need it most. And apparently, that moment is drawing closer. The former staff member who shared this revelation was clear about one thing. The way Meghan spoke about Lilibet was not the casual musing of a proud mother. It was strategic, purposeful. She allegedly told those present that when the world finally sees her daughter, it will change everything. The implication was unmistakable. Meghan sees Lilibet as her golden ticket back to relevance, and she has been carefully orchestrating the moment of reveal, like a Hollywood premiere. But here is where it gets even more interesting. This conversation did not happen in isolation. It came at a very specific time, and the timing tells us everything we need to know about what is really driving Meghan's sudden need to discuss her daughter's resemblance to Diana. Because just days before, another young royal made headlines around the world. Prince George had just appeared at the Passage homeless shelter alongside his father Prince William, and the images captured the hearts of millions. There he was, the future king, serving food to those in need with a warmth and humility that reminded everyone of his late grandmother Princess Diana. The resemblance was undeniable. The compassion was genuine, and the world could not stop talking about it. Sources close to the situation suggest this is precisely what triggered Meghan's sudden need to discuss Lilibet's alleged Diana qualities. The timing was simply too coincidental to ignore. George was receiving global praise for carrying Diana's legacy forward, and within days, Meghan was privately telling staff that her daughter would shock the world with her own Diana-like presence. The competition for Diana's legacy, it seems, is now being fought through the next generation. But here is the fundamental difference that has left royal watchers absolutely baffled. We have watched George grow up before our eyes. We have seen Charlotte's cheeky personality blossom. We have witnessed Louis steal the show at royal events with his hilarious antics. The Wales children are present, visible, and undeniably real. Yet Archie and Lilibet remain almost entirely hidden from public view. Staff members who worked within the Sussex household have described an environment of extreme secrecy surrounding the children. According to multiple sources, employees were kept away from Archie and Lilibet at all times. Certain areas of the property were strictly off-limits. Even those who had been working for the family for extended periods claim they never saw the children's faces properly. The level of protection went far beyond normal celebrity privacy measures. This creates an almost impossible contradiction when you consider Meghan's public statements. Remember her sitting across from interviewers, speaking passionately about protecting her children from media intrusion. She positioned herself as a fierce mama bear, shielding her cubs from the dangerous spotlight. Yet simultaneously, she has been accused of exploiting those same children for content whenever it suits her narrative. The Christmas card released just weeks ago is a perfect example of this bizarre duality. There were the Sussex children, included in the family photo, yet something felt deeply off about the entire image. Many observers pointed out that the picture looked assembled rather than captured. The lighting seemed inconsistent. The positioning appeared unnatural, and once again the children's features remained conveniently obscured or positioned in ways that prevented clear identification. For a woman who claims to want privacy for her children, Meghan certainly knows how to dangle them in front of the public just enough to generate intrigue. It is almost as if she is running a years-long marketing campaign, building anticipation for an eventual grand reveal. And according to staff members who witnessed her private conversations, That is exactly what she is doing. The question that haunts everyone who has worked inside that mansion is simple. What are they hiding? And more importantly, what are they waiting for? That holiday card was supposed to project warmth, family unity, and festive cheer. Instead, it ignited a firestorm of speculation that left even loyal Sussex supporters scratching their heads. When Meghan and Harry released their Christmas greeting to the world, the reaction was not what they had anticipated. Rather than heartwarming comments and seasonal goodwill, the internet exploded with questions about what exactly they were looking at. The image immediately drew comparisons to William and Catherine's Christmas card, and the contrast could not have been more striking. The Wales family photo radiated authenticity. Catherine's love of the outdoors was evident in every frame. The children looked natural, relaxed, and genuinely happy. There was no manufactured perfection, just a beautiful family enjoying a moment together. The sentiment was clear without being forced. Now compare that to what emerged from Montecito. Harry appeared disheveled, his trousers seemingly hanging awkwardly on his frame. Meghan chose a see-through skirt for what was supposed to be a family Christmas card, a choice that baffled observers wondering what exactly the occasion called for. The whole aesthetic felt less like a holiday greeting and more like a promotional shot for her struggling Netflix ventures. But it was the children who generated the most intense scrutiny. Lilibet's hair, as many commentators pointed out, appeared as though it had never seen a brush. Now, nobody expects perfection from young children, but this was an official Christmas card being sent to the world. The most basic preparation would suggest ensuring the children looked presentable for such a widely distributed image, unless, of course, looking polished was never the point. Royal experts and photo analysts immediately began dissecting every pixel of the image. The consensus among many was troubling. The photo appeared doctored. Elements seemed artificially placed together rather than captured in a single organic moment. Shadows fell in inconsistent directions. Body positioning looked unnatural, as if the family members had been photographed separately and digitally assembled afterward. Staff members who were present during the period when this card was being prepared have shared their own bewilderment. According to insiders, the production of even simple content like a Christmas card became an elaborate ordeal within the Sussex household. Nothing was ever straightforward. Everything required endless revisions, approvals, and Meghan's personal oversight of every detail. Yet somehow, despite all that control and perfectionism, the final product looked thrown together. It felt rushed and inauthentic, which raises an obvious question. If Meghan micromanages every piece of content that leaves that mansion, how did something so widely criticized make it through her approval process? Perhaps she genuinely believed it was perfect. Perhaps her judgment has become so disconnected from public perception that she can no longer tell the difference. What the Christmas card ultimately revealed was not a happy family spreading holiday joy. It exposed a household in disarray, desperately trying to project an image that simply does not match reality. And behind closed doors, the chaos was only getting worse. Every mother wants to share pride in her children. It is one of the most natural instincts in the world. But when Meghan Markle speaks about Archie and Lilibet, something always feels slightly off. The words are polished, the delivery is rehearsed, and the timing is invariably calculated to maximize her own visibility rather than genuinely celebrate her kids. Remember her appearance on stage when she spoke about Lilibet finding her voice? It was the kind of relatable parenting moment that should have warmed hearts everywhere. A mother acknowledging that her daughter is growing into her own personality, becoming vocal and assertive. Yet the way Meghan delivered this anecdote felt more like a scripted talking point than an authentic maternal reflection. Staff members who observed her preparation for such appearances have noted how carefully she crafts these seemingly spontaneous moments of motherly candor. Then there was the infamous CBS interview, where Meghan sat with an expression of deep concern, discussing the need to protect her children from media intrusion. She painted herself as a devoted mother, fighting against forces determined to exploit her babies. The performance was convincing to those who wanted to believe it. But actions, as they say, speak far louder than words. Because while Meghan publicly champions privacy for Archie and Lilibet, she simultaneously deploys them as content whenever her relevance begins to fade. A carefully timed photograph here, a touching anecdote there, mentions of the children strategically dropped into interviews precisely when she needs to humanize her image or generate sympathetic headlines. Insiders who worked within the Sussex operation have described this pattern in troubling detail. According to sources, there were clear directives about when and how the children could be referenced publicly. Nothing was accidental. Every mention of Archie or Lilibet in any public forum had been pre-approved, analyzed for maximum impact, and positioned to serve a larger strategic purpose. One former staff member described feeling deeply uncomfortable watching this dynamic unfold. They had entered the job expecting to work for a couple who genuinely prioritized their children above all else. What they discovered instead was an environment where the children functioned more as brand assets than as the center of family life. The kids were kept invisible to staff, invisible to the public, yet constantly invoked as emotional leverage. The contradiction is staggering when you lay it out plainly. Meghan demands absolute privacy for her children while simultaneously using their existence to fuel her public persona. She criticizes the media for any interest in Archie and Lilibet while deliberately teasing details designed to generate exactly that interest. She positions herself as protective while reportedly treating her children as her most valuable future commodities. Staff members left that mansion questioning everything they had witnessed. The gap between Meghan's public maternal image and the private reality they observed was simply too vast to reconcile. And as more insiders come forward, that carefully constructed facade is beginning to crumble in ways Meghan never anticipated. Let us return to that extraordinary moment when Meghan sat down and began describing her daughter in terms that left staff members absolutely speechless. Because the more you examine what she allegedly said, the clearer her long-term strategy becomes. This was not a proud mother sharing innocent observations about her child. This was a woman laying the groundwork for what she believes will be her ultimate comeback. According to the insider who witnessed this conversation, Meghan spoke about Lilibet with an intensity that bordered on obsession. She described her daughter's mannerisms as being remarkably similar to Princess Diana. She emphasized those allegedly striking blue eyes, but most tellingly, she kept returning to the same phrase over and over again: "This will shock the world." The staff member recalled that Meghan seemed to enter an almost trance-like state as she discussed these supposed similarities. Her eyes glazed over, her voice took on a distant quality. It was as though she was not really talking to the people in the room anymore, but rather rehearsing for some grand future moment when the curtain would finally be pulled back. What became unmistakably clear to those present was that Meghan and Harry view their children as their ultimate insurance policy. The ace in the hole they have been carefully protecting until the perfect moment to play it. Every other venture might fail. Netflix might lose interest. Spotify might walk away. The foundation might hemorrhage money. But the children, particularly Lilibet with her alleged Diana qualities, represent an asset that can never be devalued. Think about the strategic brilliance of this approach if you set aside the ethical implications for a moment. The entire world remains fascinated by Princess Diana decades after her tragic death. Any genuine connection to her legacy commands instant global attention. If Meghan can successfully position Lilibet as Diana's spiritual heir, the child becomes invaluable as a media property. And that is precisely what disturbed staff members who heard Meghan speak so candidly. She was not discussing her daughter as a little girl with her own personality and potential. She was describing a future asset, a commodity that would eventually be deployed to generate the attention and relevance that Meghan so desperately craves. The timing of when this reveal might happen has reportedly been discussed extensively within the Sussex camp. Sources suggest Meghan believes there is an optimal moment to introduce Lilibet properly to the world, and she is determined to control every aspect of that unveiling. It will not be a casual photograph or a candid moment captured by chance. It will be orchestrated, produced, and positioned for maximum impact. Staff who left the organization carry these revelations with them, struggling to process what they witnessed. A mother calculating how to monetize her daughter's resemblance to a dead princess is not something anyone expects to encounter. Yet according to multiple sources, this is exactly what has been unfolding behind the walls of that Montecito mansion. The images from the Passage homeless shelter spread across every news outlet and social media platform within hours. Prince George, the future King of England, was photographed helping his father serve meals to those experiencing homelessness. His expression carried a gentleness that immediately reminded the world of his grandmother, Princess Diana. The resemblance was not just physical, it was spiritual, and the public response was overwhelming. Commentators could not stop pointing out how George embodied Diana's famous compassion. Here was a young boy born into unimaginable privilege, demonstrating genuine empathy for the most vulnerable members of society. The parallels to Diana's legendary charity work were impossible to ignore. She had brought her own sons to the Passage decades earlier, and now her grandson was continuing that legacy in the most beautiful way imaginable. The timing of what happened next inside the Montecito mansion cannot be dismissed as coincidence. According to sources, it was shortly after these images went viral that Meghan began discussing Lilibet's alleged Diana qualities with staff members. The connection is almost too obvious to require explanation. George was receiving global praise for carrying Diana's torch, and Meghan could not allow the Wales branch of the family to monopolize that precious legacy. Insiders describe a palpable shift in Meghan's demeanor whenever the Wales children receive positive attention. There is reportedly an obsessive monitoring of how William and Catherine's family is portrayed in the media compared to her own. Every favorable headline about George, Charlotte, or Louis allegedly triggers a response from Meghan, a need to counter with something about her own children. The fundamental problem Meghan faces is one of her own creation. The Wales children are visible, accessible, and consistently endearing. The public has watched them grow up through countless appearances, balcony waves, and candid moments captured at royal events. There is a genuine relationship between the British public and these children because people have actually seen them behaving like real kids. Archie and Lilibet, by contrast, remain mysteries. Meghan has spent years hiding them from view while simultaneously expecting the world to care about them as much as they care about George and his siblings. The strategy has backfired spectacularly. You cannot generate public affection for children the public has never been allowed to know. So instead of building organic goodwill over time, Meghan has apparently decided to compete on different terms. She cannot match the years of visible moments the Wales children have provided, but she can claim something none of them possess. A daughter who allegedly embodies Princess Diana more completely than any of her legitimate heirs. Whether this claim has any basis in reality remains to be seen. What is certain is that staff members who heard Meghan make these assertions were left deeply unsettled. The rivalry between the Sussex and Wales branches has now extended to the children themselves, with Meghan positioning Lilibet as the true Diana heir, and the desperation behind that positioning reveals just how precarious her situation has become. While Meghan obsesses over Lilibet's future reveal, the empire she built to support that moment is collapsing around her. The Archwell Foundation, once heralded as the vehicle through which the Sussexes would change the world, has become a revolving door of departing employees, and the stories emerging from those who have fled paint a picture of organizational chaos that defies belief. Just days before Christmas, reports confirmed that at least 3 staff members were being let go, but sources inside the operation say that number dramatically understates the reality. The new year will reportedly bring a far more extensive purge, with the organization shrinking to a skeleton crew as Meghan attempts to slash costs and regain control of her floundering ventures. The reasons behind this exodus go far deeper than simple budget cuts. Former employees describe an environment where nobody actually knew what they were supposed to be doing. Job descriptions were vague or non-existent. Direction changed constantly based on Meghan's shifting whims. Staff would arrive at work with no clear tasks, sitting idle for hours while waiting for guidance that never came. One particularly damning revelation emerged regarding the foundation's actual charitable work. When documentation became public, it exposed a staggering truth. Harry and Meghan were reportedly dedicating just 1 hour per week to the charitable endeavors that supposedly defined their post-royal purpose. 1 hour. For a foundation that was meant to be their legacy, their contribution to making the world a better place, they could apparently spare 60 minutes out of their entire week. Once that information surfaced, the damage was irreversible. Potential donors who might have supported the Sussex charitable mission suddenly questioned where their money would actually go. Corporate partners who had considered aligning with Archwell reconsidered their positions. The foundation's credibility evaporated almost overnight. Staff members caught in this collapse described feeling abandoned and confused. Many had taken positions with the Sussexes believing they were joining something meaningful. They had turned down other opportunities, relocated their lives, and invested their professional reputations in what Harry and Meghan promised would be transformative work. Instead, they found themselves trapped in a dysfunctional organization led by people who had no idea how to run anything. The hemorrhaging of talent has created a vicious cycle that Meghan seems incapable of breaking. Good people leave, taking institutional knowledge with them. Replacements arrive to find chaos and quickly begin planning their own exits. Meanwhile, projects stall, deadlines pass, and the already damaged Sussex brand suffers further erosion with each passing month. What makes this situation even more remarkable is how predictable it was. Everyone who has followed the Sussex saga knew that Meghan's management style would eventually drive people away. The warnings were there from the beginning, documented in reports of her behavior during her brief time as a working royal. Yet somehow, she remains convinced that the problem lies with everyone except herself. In the face of mounting failures and departing staff, most leaders would engage in serious self-reflection. They would examine what went wrong, seek outside counsel, and consider whether their own approach might be contributing to the problems. Meghan Markle has apparently taken the opposite path. According to sources close to the situation, she has decided that she alone can fix everything by taking complete control. Reports indicate that Meghan is now going through every aspect of the Archwell operation with a red pen, personally reviewing expenditures, strategies, and personnel decisions. She has reportedly declared herself the de facto CEO of the entire enterprise, pushing Harry further into the background while she assumes command of their sinking ship. The phrase being whispered among remaining staff is chilling in its simplicity. She is in charge now. Harry, once positioned as an equal partner in their post-royal ventures, has apparently been relegated to supporting duties. Sources suggest he handles filming tasks, makes occasional solo appearances at events where he can generate appearance fees, and generally stays out of Meghan's way as she restructures everything according to her vision. The dynamic within the marriage, at least professionally, has shifted dramatically. What makes this power grab particularly concerning is Meghan's apparent inability to recognize her own role in creating the current disaster. Rather than accepting any responsibility for failed projects and fleeing employees, she has reportedly identified external villains to blame. The Vanity Fair profile from earlier this year that painted an unflattering picture of her American dream. The Hollywood Reporter piece that described her as a nightmare boss who reduced grown men to tears. These media outlets, in Meghan's view, sabotaged her success through unfair coverage. The staff members who remain are reportedly walking on eggshells, terrified of becoming the next casualty of Meghan's restructuring efforts. The atmosphere inside the Montecito operation has turned toxic, with everyone protecting themselves rather than collaborating toward common goals. Trust has evaporated entirely. Perhaps most delusional is Meghan's assessment of what has actually worked during her tenure as a public figure. According to insiders, she genuinely believes that her most successful content has been the material she personally conceived and directed. The example she allegedly cites most frequently is the infamous baby mama dance from her Netflix series. In her mind, that moment represented exactly what audiences wanted to see from her. The disconnect from reality could not be more stark. That dance sequence was widely mocked across social media. Critics described it as embarrassing, tone-deaf, and representative of everything wrong with the Sussex approach to content creation. Yet Meghan apparently views it as a triumph that proves her creative instincts should be trusted above all others. With this level of self-deception guiding decisions, remaining staff members have reportedly given up trying to offer honest feedback. They simply agree with whatever Meghan proposes, collect their paychecks, and update their resumes for the inevitable day when the axe falls on them too. As the Archwell Foundation crumbles and staff flee for safer opportunities, Meghan's attention has turned increasingly toward the one asset she believes cannot fail: her children. According to insiders, she has become convinced that Archie and Lilibet represent the key to restoring everything she has lost, and the plans being developed behind closed doors reveal just how far she is willing to go. Sources describe discussions about launching what can only be called pseudo-royal tours. Harry and Meghan would travel to various countries, recreating the pomp and ceremony of official royal visits without any actual royal authority. These tours would reportedly feature carefully staged public appearances, meetings with local dignitaries eager for celebrity photo opportunities, and of course, the eventual introduction of the children to adoring international crowds. The financial model behind these ventures is already taking shape. Reports indicate that the Sussexes have begun offering paid dinner experiences where wealthy individuals can purchase a seat at the table with the former royals. The money raised would theoretically support their charitable foundation. Though given the organization's track record of dedicating minimal time to actual charity work, skeptics have reasonable doubts about where those funds would ultimately flow. But the real prize, according to staff members who have witnessed Meghan's strategic planning, remains the children themselves. Everything else represents a holding pattern until the moment arrives for their grand reveal. The tours, the paid appearances, the struggling Netflix content, all of it serves merely to keep the Sussex brand alive until Archie and Lilibet can be properly monetized. One former employee described feeling physically ill while listening to these discussions. The casual way Meghan allegedly spoke about leveraging her children's futures for financial and reputational gain struck this person as fundamentally wrong. These are human beings, not brand assets. Yet within the Sussex operation, the line between family and commodity had apparently dissolved entirely. The entertainment pivot Meghan announced recently fits perfectly into this framework. By positioning herself as a content creator rather than a philanthropist or advocate, she clears the path for eventually featuring her children in that content. A cooking show can easily incorporate family moments. A lifestyle brand practically demands them. The groundwork is being laid for transforming Archie and Lilibet from hidden mysteries into permanent fixtures of their mother's media presence. Staff members who raised concerns about this trajectory reportedly found themselves quickly marginalized. Questioning Meghan's plans for the children was apparently treated as a form of disloyalty that could not be tolerated. Those who persisted in expressing discomfort soon found themselves among the departed, replaced by more compliant employees willing to execute whatever strategy Meghan devised. The children, meanwhile, remain sheltered from public view, reportedly unaware of the role their mother has planned for them. Somewhere in that Montecito mansion, Archie and Lilibet are living their young lives, not knowing that their mother views them as the ultimate solution to her failing empire. The question that haunts everyone who has witnessed Meghan's private declarations is deceptively simple. What happens when the curtain finally rises? She has spent years building anticipation for a grand reveal, promising that Lilibet will shock the world with her Diana-like presence. But promises made in private must eventually be tested against public reality. Former staff members who heard Meghan speak so confidently about her daughter's transformative qualities have expressed profound skepticism. A 4-year-old child, no matter how charming, carries an enormous burden when positioned as the spiritual heir to one of history's most beloved figures. The expectations Meghan has created may prove impossible for any human being to satisfy, let alone a little girl who never asked to bear such weight. There is also the matter of authenticity, something the Sussex brand has struggled with since their departure from royal life. The public has grown increasingly sophisticated at detecting manufactured moments and curated personalities. If Lilibet's introduction feels staged or exploitative, the backlash could be devastating. Audiences who might have welcomed a genuine glimpse of the Sussex children will likely recoil from anything that smacks of calculation. The timing pressure continues to mount with each passing month. Archie is already school age, making his continued invisibility increasingly difficult to maintain. Lilibet will soon follow. Children cannot remain hidden forever, particularly when their parents court public attention in virtually every other aspect of their lives. The reveal, whether Meghan controls it or not, is coming. Staff who departed the Sussex operation carry these observations with them, still processing what they witnessed during their time in Montecito. Many describe a profound sense of unease about the future facing those two children. Growing up with a mother who views you primarily as a strategic asset cannot be healthy for any child's development. The psychological implications are troubling to contemplate. What seems certain is that Meghan has staked everything on this gamble. The foundation is failing. The Netflix relationship has cooled. The Spotify partnership collapsed in spectacular fashion. Her lifestyle brand launched to mockery rather than enthusiasm. In the wreckage of all these ventures, only the children remain as unexploited potential. They represent her final card to play. Whether that card proves to be an ace or a devastating miscalculation remains to be seen. The world that Meghan expects to shock may instead respond with indifference or criticism. The Diana comparisons she has cultivated may invite unfavorable scrutiny rather than adoration. The elaborate reveal she has been planning could backfire in ways she has not anticipated. One thing is certain: the staff members who shared these revelations did so because they believe the public deserves to understand what is really happening inside that Montecito mansion. The children at the center of this story did not choose their circumstances. They deserve better than being treated as commodities in their mother's desperate bid for relevance. So what do you think? Is Meghan's gamble on her children destined to succeed or spectacularly backfire? Drop your thoughts below, like, subscribe, and stay tuned. The next video is waiting, and you will not believe what is coming next.